Here's why rappers should read more. Here's why rappers gotta buy some fucking books so they can improve the quality of their lives. And during the first half of 2018, I spent more money easily on books than on food. So I'm also gonna drop some recommendations because a lot of people will ask me for those. Some links in the descriptions for the ones that have helped me the most so far, if you guys want to check them out. If you do, I get commission, which helps me build this channel more, so let's get to it. As far as finance, if you want money, you gotta save money, because chances are you are making some. Even if it's not on music, most artists watching this probably work somewhere, which is cool. I mean, depending on when this video is dropping, I still am too, honestly. But I pay attention to saving money. I check my account every single day and I cut every single thing that I perceive as an expense. And I'm like,
you gotta go, bruh.
So I cut that shit. I'm always making sure to ask myself, is this investing in my future or not? I got some of these ideas and plenty more from books, again, I'll drop in the description. Saving money and finding more ways to do it so I can invest more in my production and sales I got from a book called Unshakable by Tony Robbins. I like to call this guy like the micro Napoleon Hill of investing. This dude went around and interviewed the greatest investors alive, like fucking multi-billionaires, and got so much insider knowledge. By the way, investors with very, very different approaches from each other. And he found a lot of things they all have in common. And by a lot, I mean like not much more than like 7. But those 7 things are really valuable. But he got so much insider knowledge through it that nobody else has access to. Or well, at least did at the time. All the proceeds actually go to feeding families in Africa and shit like that. That's Tony Robbins is more passionate about that than probably anything. Literally 100% of the proceeds. As far as the philosophy behind saving more money and more ways of looking at it, a very foundational book, I'd say, on personal finance and investing is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This is a legendary book in the field of investing and personal finance. It crushes a lot of very popular myths and misconceptions about money. I highly recommend it to anyone who thinks that money is bad in any way or thinks that there's something inherently like wrong with rich people. Anyone who asks me for finance books, these are pretty much my top 2 recommendations. If you're like, I don't know, man, anyone who knows a lot about investing will most likely list at least these 2 as their top, choices for starters. As far as business, I'm always looking at shit like what's gonna make me the most money? What's gonna get me more sales? Because finance for me is about protecting the downside, and business is more about the upside. They both go hand in hand, of course, but focusing on what makes me the most green, the most moolah, the most loot, the most De Niro, the most Mazumo. I didn't know that was a term until I looked up synonyms for money, and I was like,
okay.
I want that cash, and even more. So I'm looking for more ways to get more of it faster, so I can invest more in my career as an artist and a producer. I like E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber, because like it says in the title, it explains why most startups fail and what to do about it. 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel is also great. He's the PayPal co-founder. It talks about the opportunities of startups in the beginning of the digital age, reflecting on the history of the dot-com bubble. My favorite book of all time, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which I'm fucking, if you know my other videos, you know how obsessed I am with that book. Like, what I like about it so much, I'll probably end up making videos about in the near future as I further and more deeply absorb its content. Same goes for 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, which is easily my second favorite book of all time. It's basically how to multiply your life and business by 10. If you are a natural overthinker, by the way, like me, Grant Cardone will easily and quickly get you out of that mindset. As far as the music industry, investing in self-education for the purpose of getting more out of it is sort of a no-brainer. Like, is it not? The importance of understanding the music industry. Everything from distribution, publishing, to social media content creation, to promotion, monetization, performing, touring. I remember the first time I performed, it didn't really feel like a first time. And I think that's because of things that I learned from books like these. A lot of the things, anytime people are like, how do you know about this shit? Like, it doesn't seem like your first time. Bro, if you don't get anything else out of this video, I'm hoping for you to understand this. The best thing about books, for any artist, producer, CEO, I don't like to use the word entrepreneur. I think it's outplayed. The best thing is that a book is all the experiences of one topic over an extended period of time. All the filtered knowledge compressed into a digestible tool of self-education that you can use to invest in your future. It can drastically speed up your learning curve, like almost exponentially if you use it enough and persistently, in just about any skill or area of study that involves the application of knowledge, and it can save you literally fucking centuries worth of time. But people say knowledge is power, and it's only potential power. You need to apply it. So here are 3 great books on the music industry. This one particularly for people in hip-hop, The Prosperous Hip-Hop Producer by Curtis King. It's a newer one. If you don't know who Curtis King is, check out his fucking fucking videos. Right, like, he's actually a YouTuber. Most of these people are not like just straight up YouTubers. I don't know of any other ones who are. But if you're a producer, I think that getting this book is, I mean, it's like getting food at a grocery store. How to Make It in the New Music Business by Ari Herstand is another one which was co-signed actually multiple times as the best book on today's music business by the founder of CD Baby. I think his name is Derek Silvers or Sivers or Sivers. Sievers. The Artist's Guide to Success in the Music Business by Lauren Weissman is great. He talks about touring and SEO and all sorts of other shit that these other books don't really talk about that much, at least in depth. As far as psychology was always interesting to me because I was always very curious about what was, is, and will be going on in other people's heads so I can offer more value to them. How am I gonna explain new ideas and get my points across if I don't even kind of know how to do so most effectively to the most people? I figured that learning about psychology is a pretty good way to start. And I will never ever stop working on this skill, but I also learn about myself. I reflect a lot when I listen to books like this. Some phenomenal books on this topic are Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. This dude is a legend. Very spacey stuff, but real stuff. A little about the smallest things that make the biggest differences in how we process and use information. I mean, dude, it's literally like the power of thinking without thinking. I saw that and I was like, what the fuck does this even mean? May as well get it myself and find out. That was my process behind most of these books, honestly, just curiosity. Also, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. You want to talk about freaky shit? Dude, some of the wildest things in advertising, marketing, things you would never really expect to be so impactful and powerful. I was blown away by every single one, every story I heard, because each one of them just
Screams golden information into your ears.
It tells you everything you need to know about habits and more. I can't imagine how many people use the information in this book to quit like smoking and drinking and shit like that, or at least help with it. As far as branding is absolutely crucial for an artist or producer, whether independent or not. What are you going to be known for? What will people associate with you? What will your reputation be based upon? What will you be synonymous with over time? Every time people see or think about things, they will think about you with those things, those triggers. 4 phenomenal books on this. Some of them are also a little bit freaky. The freaky ones, by the way, a lot of the freakiest books are the most,
I think, powerful.
The best one I can think of is probably Influenced by Dr. Robert Cialdini. This dude is really smart. What's gonna make people say yes to your music? What makes people say yes to really anything, let alone other people's music? And dude, this is some of the weirdest shit, like those things. You'll learn a lot about why you hate or love things that you don't feel like you should. You'll learn why other people feel the same or different. A lot of things that don't make sense to you will after checking this book out. Right behind it is a little duo I always find myself recommending on my channel by a very intelligent expert on branding. How the World Sees You by Sally Hogshead, one on personal branding, which I recommend more for artists, and Fascinate by the same author, which I recommend a little bit more on producers because it's a little bit more about like business branding. A big bonus for anyone out there trying to learn about the science of popularity, Hitmakers by Derek Thompson is a personal favorite of mine, at least, because it explains how things blow up and why in this age of such short attention spans. I know what it's like to have a short attention span, so listening to the audiobook for this was like drilling into the brain of the average person and finding out what I didn't even know that much about myself. Got a lot of interesting shit out of this book, like the structure of pop songs. He talks a lot about distribution, what makes people come back and listen again and again. I mean, and it's not just music either. It's also art and movies and shows, and I think he even touches upon politics. Very, very well-researched guy. As far as social media, now, a lot of people all over the place, especially my age, are obsessed with a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. He is incredibly smart. I like to call him the Nostradamus of social media, because he has a very unique ability that I feel like a lot of his supporters don't really talk about. He has an ability to predict trends in social media, and his track record is probably more sound than pretty much anyone in his field of digital marketing expertise. I will never entirely lose my respect for this guy or anything of the like. Here's the thing, if you look at his content now and his content 5 to 10 years ago, you may or may not notice a drastic difference in depth, I'd say. I think depth is a good word for this. And actual substance. People think the book Crushing It is phenomenal. I think his best book is The Thank You Economy. Countless successful online businesses were built after a lot of different people read that book. Crushing It, or even Crush It, from 2009-2010, these are a little bit more about doing thank you economy things from a more micro, more personalized viewpoint, which is cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why there would be, but the thank you economy touches more upon, I think, like first principles of these arts per se, and it only seems to become more true over time. I don't know what the fuck was going on in his life when he he wrote that shit. Because compared to Crushing It and Crush It, that book is like, I think it's a gold mine. The newer books are, I'll put it this way, they're pretty good, they're not useless or anything. I don't recommend knocking any book at all, based on reviews or anything of the like. I've gotten plenty of great ideas from even shitty books. Every book has something valuable in it. And if you want to dive deeper into the actual knowledge, the background of social media and the internet, the dark side of it, which I think is really important to know about, can be perfectly described in vivid detail in the book The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. Probably in my top 10 books of all time. And it's polar opposite as well, which is really good. I don't like it as much, but it's fucking good, nonetheless. The Brighter Side of the Internet, What Would Google Do by Jeff Jarvis, I don't know how to pronounce his name, as far as history, and biographies. I have a whole video about biographies and how they can help you unlock your inner superpower. It's probably my lamest video ever, but that's because it's the thing you'll find if you scroll to the absolute bottom of my Insights playlist. It is literally the first Insight video I ever made, and when I watch it and pay attention to the energy I brought to the camera then versus now, I learn a lot about my own improvement and self-confidence as a content creator. I mean, dude, my earlier Insights were very cringy. Someday I'll look at this one and be like, what the fuck is this shit? This makes no sense. No wonder why your audience is so much bigger now. It's because you changed over time. But, okay, as far as biographies, I'll link that video in the description as well. It tells you everything you probably would need to know or want to know, and perhaps more. My two personal favorites that I've listened to so far are Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. Warren Buffett's definitely also up there as well. And maybe Leonardo da Vinci as some sort of an honorable mention. But what do you guys think? What are your favorite books? Should rappers read more? I mean, I don't know why they should read less. I feel like that would be kind of counterintuitive. With the whole stigma around drugs and hip-hop and where that's taking our culture, sometimes I wonder what would just happen if we just took the drugs and replaced that popularity with books. Like, what would be different? Like, I wonder how hip-hop would be different. I bet we go into like a futuristic version of some like Renaissance shit. Maybe I'm thinking a little bit ahead of myself or us. I don't know. But what do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you have any ideas that you want me to talk about in future videos, please let me know in the comments and I will give you a shout out if and when I use them. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. There are links at the bottom of the description to all my social media. Also at the bottom of the description, there are links to my new production kits where you can find all the software and hardware that I use to make music and these videos. And if you buy any, I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos for you guys. I made all the beats in this video. If you want to use them, you can find links to each one in the description from first to last or at samuel.earth/beats. Make sure to leave a like if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already. If you could turn on that little bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.